How to Force Yourself to Take Action, written by Justin Tracy, published by Simple Audiobooks. Introduction. This book takes a profound and detailed approach to understanding the barriers that prevent people from taking action, offering readers an in-depth exploration of the mental, emotional, and environmental factors that contribute to procrastination. At its core, the book argues that hesitation and inaction are not merely bad habits, but deeply rooted patterns often tied to fear, uncertainty, self-doubt, and the lack of confidence in one's ability to succeed. It sheds light on the fact that these patterns are frequently exacerbated by societal pressures, personal insecurities, and the overwhelming nature of modern life, which can make even the simplest tasks feel insurmountable. By identifying these core issues, the book provides a foundation for understanding why people avoid taking action and why this avoidance becomes a persistent cycle that feeds on itself. The book emphasizes that waiting for the perfect moment or relying solely on fleeting motivation is a common trap that keeps people stuck in a state of inertia. It reveals that motivation is inherently unreliable because it fluctuates with moods, circumstances, and external influences. Instead, the book advocates for cultivating discipline and creating structured systems to bridge the gap between intention and execution. Through detailed explanations and practical insights, the reader learns how to take control of their behavior by developing habits and routines that encourage consistency, even in the absence of motivation. These systems serve as a safety net, ensuring progress regardless of emotional highs or lows. A significant portion of the book dedicated to exploring the psychological resistance people face when trying to start or complete tasks. It explains that this resistance often stems from an inner critic that magnifies fears of failure or inadequacy, causing individuals to doubt their abilities and delay action. The book teaches readers how to recognize and confront this inner voice, reframing self-doubt as an opportunity for growth, rather than a reason to avoid taking steps forward. It provides actionable techniques to manage this resistance, such as breaking tasks into smaller, manageable pieces, setting micro goals that are easy to achieve, and focusing on incremental progress rather than perfection. The book also delves into the concept of momentum, showing how small initial actions can build a sense of accomplishment that propels further progress. It highlights the importance of taking even the tiniest step forward, as this act alone can help break the paralysis of inaction. By encouraging readers to start small and gradually increase their efforts, the book demonstrates how momentum creates a positive feedback loop that makes continued action easier and more natural. This approach not only helps overcome immediate challenges, but also builds long-term habits that support consistent productivity. Environment and external factors are also discussed in detail, with the book examining how physical surroundings, social influences, and daily routines impact one's ability to take action. It stresses the importance of designing an environment that reduces distractions, minimizes decision fatigue, and fosters focus and determination. Additionally, the book underscores the value of accountability, whether through friends, mentors, or systems, showing how external support can reinforce commitment and provide motivation when internal willpower wanes. The book further explores the distinction between discipline and motivation, presenting discipline as a learned skill that grows stronger with practice. While motivation is seen as unpredictable and short-lived, discipline is framed as a reliable force that can drive consistent action over time. Readers are guided through methods for building discipline, such as creating rewards for completed tasks, practicing self-compassion during setbacks, and developing a just-do-it mindset that bypasses overthinking. In its essence, the book challenges the reader to confront their fears, embrace discomfort, and take ownership of their actions. It provides a roadmap for navigating the emotional and practical challenges of taking action, offering tools such as visualization techniques, time-blocking strategies, and methods for tracking progress to maintain focus and momentum. By addressing both the psychological and practical aspects of action, the book creates a comprehensive guide for overcoming procrastination and building a proactive, goal-oriented lifestyle. Ultimately, this book serves as a transformative resource for anyone seeking to break free from the cycle of hesitation and inaction. It doesn't just aim to help readers accomplish individual tasks. It seeks to instill a lifelong mindset of growth, resilience, and purpose. By applying its principles, readers can achieve their goals, unlock their potential, and live a life defined by intentional action rather than missed opportunities. This is not just a guide to getting things done, it's a call to take control of your life and make the most of every moment, regardless of the challenges that stand in your way. Chapter 1: The Power of Decision. The first chapter dives deeply into the transformative power of decision-making, illustrating how the ability to make firm, deliberate choices is the cornerstone of personal progress and meaningful action. It emphasizes that indecision is one of the most significant obstacles to success, as it creates mental and emotional stagnation, leading to frustration and missed opportunities. The chapter explains that when individuals hesitate or overanalyze, they enter a cycle of doubt and inertia that not only wastes valuable time and energy, but also erodes confidence and focus. Every decision, no matter how seemingly insignificant, acts as a stepping stone that shapes the trajectory of one's life, demonstrating that the simple act of choosing is a powerful declaration of intention and direction. Through vivid examples and insights, the chapter explores how fear often underlies indecision: fear of failure, fear of judgment, or even fear of success. It urges readers to confront these fears by shifting their mindset and viewing decisions as opportunities for growth rather than as potential pitfalls. This perspective encourages individuals to take calculated risks, accept that mistakes are inevitable, and recognize that every choice contributes to learning and personal development. The chapter explains that making a decision, even if it is imperfect, is infinitely better than remaining in a state of inaction, as it opens doors to new experiences and allows for course corrections along the way. The psychological benefits of decisiveness are explored in detail, including how committing to a choice enhances self-esteem, reduces stress, and fosters a sense of control over life's uncertainties. The chapter emphasizes that indecision creates mental clutter, leading to overwhelm, while decisiveness clears the mind and allows for focused action. Readers are encouraged to develop clarity about their goals and values, as this foundation makes decision-making more straightforward and aligned with their long-term vision. Practical strategies are introduced to help readers become more decisive, such as setting deadlines for decisions, eliminating unnecessary options, and using decision-making frameworks like pros and cons lists or prioritization grids. Additionally, the chapter discusses how to handle the aftermath of decisions, addressing the fear of regret or second-guessing. It offers techniques for embracing outcomes, whether successful or not, as valuable experiences that contribute to growth and resilience. By focusing on the process of decision-making rather than obsessing over potential results, individuals can cultivate a sense of trust in themselves and their ability to navigate challenges. The chapter also highlights the importance of momentum in decision-making, showing how small, confident choices can build a pattern of decisive behavior that spills over into larger, more complex areas of life. It teaches readers to start with manageable decisions, such as daily routines or minor preferences, to practice the skill of decisiveness and gradually tackle more significant challenges. By developing a habit of taking action quickly and confidently, individuals can create a feedback loop where each decision reinforces their ability to make the next one with greater ease. Ultimately, the chapter conveys that decision-making is not just a practical skill, but a mindset, a way of approaching life with purpose, clarity, and confidence. It inspires readers to embrace their power to choose and to see each decision as a step toward creating the life they desire. By the end of the chapter, readers gain a deeper understanding of the importance of decisiveness, practical tools to strengthen their decision-making abilities, and the motivation to overcome the paralyzing effects of hesitation. Through the mastery of this skill, they can unlock new opportunities, take control of their lives, and build a future defined by intentional action other than passive waiting. Chapter 2. Breaking Through Resistance. The second chapter deeply examines resistance, presenting it as one of the most formidable yet underestimated forces that prevent individuals from taking action and achieving their goals. Resistance is described as a psychological barrier that arises in countless forms: procrastination, self-doubt, fear of failure, fear of success, perfectionism, or even physical lethargy. It is a universal experience that intensifies whenever someone attempts to step beyond their comfort zone or pursue a task that demands vulnerability, effort, or the possibility of change. This chapter explains that resistance is an inherent part of human nature, rooted in the mind's tendency to prioritize safety and predictability over challenge and growth. It describes how resistance often operates subtly, masking itself as rational excuses, misplaced priorities, or sudden distractions, which makes it particularly insidious and difficult to recognize. Through vivid examples and relatable scenarios, the chapter delves into the mechanics of resistance, illustrating how it tends to emerge most strongly when the task at hand had significant personal importance or potential for transformation. It shows how resistance is fueled by fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough, or even fear of discovering untapped potential, and thrives in the gap between intention and action. The chapter helps readers understand that resistance is not a reflection of their inadequacy, but a natural response to stepping into the unknown, which can be managed and even used as a compass to identify areas of growth. It emphasizes that the presence of resistance often signals that the action being avoided is precisely what is most essential for personal development. The chapter provides a framework for identifying and confronting resistance, beginning with awareness. Readers are encouraged to observe their internal dialogue, noting when excuses or feelings of dread arise, and to label these moments as manifestations of resistance rather than truths. By externalizing resistance as a predictable pattern rather than an integral part of themselves, individuals can begin to weaken its power. The text then explores practical techniques to overcome resistance, starting with breaking overwhelming tasks into smaller, manageable pieces. This reduces the mental burden of starting, allowing individuals to focus on taking the first step rather than the entirety of the journey. The power of momentum is explored in depth, showing how even a small initial action can reduce the psychological weight of resistance and create a sense of progress. For example, spending just 5 minutes on a task can often lead to extended periods of productivity, as starting diminishes the mental barriers that make tasks seem insurmountable. The chapter also discusses the role of environmental factors in resistance, highlighting how cluttered or distraction-filled surroundings can amplify the tendency to procrastinate. It encourages readers to create a dedicated space for focused work, free from unnecessary interruptions, and to establish routines that reinforce consistency and discipline. Another critical aspect covered is the role of mindset in overcoming resistance. The chapter emphasizes the importance of reframing negative thoughts and adopting empowering beliefs, such as viewing challenges as opportunities rather than threats. Readers are encouraged to replace self-defeating narratives with positive affirmations that reinforce their capability and commitment. It also examines the concept of accepting imperfection, urging individuals to let go of the need to get everything exactly right, and instead focus on progress over perfection. This shift in perspective helps alleviate the fear of failure and reduces the paralysis caused by unrealistic expectations. The chapter further delves into strategies for maintaining accountability and motivation, such as setting clear deadlines, using tools like timers, and partnering with someone who can provide encouragement and support. It also discusses the importance of building habits and routines that automate actions, reducing reliance on fleeting motivation. Discipline is presented as the antidote to resistance, with readers encouraged to view discomfort not as something to avoid, but as a sign of growth and progress. Finally, the chapter offers a philosophical reframe of resistance, suggesting that its presence is not a barrier but a guidepost, pointing toward actions that are meaningful and transformative. By facing resistance head-on and consistently pushing through it, individuals can develop resilience, self-trust, and a greater sense of control over their lives. The chapter concludes by inspiring readers to embrace resistance as an integral part of the journey to self-improvement, transforming it from an obstacle into a catalyst for growth and achievement. Through this understanding, readers are empowered to take action despite their fears, unlocking their potential and forging a path toward the lives they aspire to lead. Chapter 3. The Momentum Principle. The third chapter explores the powerful concept of the momentum principle, which posits that progress toward any goal is largely driven by the cumulative effects of small, consistent actions, and that momentum, once established, makes it easier to maintain forward movement. The chapter begins by addressing a key insight. The most difficult part of any endeavor is not the completion or even the execution of the task itself, but simply overcoming the inertia that keeps us from starting. It explains that the resistance we feel at the beginning of a project is often much greater than the effort required to keep going once we've made a start. This insight is grounded in the psychological concept of momentum. When we initiate action, we trigger a psychological shift that makes subsequent actions easier and more automatic. The principle is rooted in the idea that small wins, no matter how minor they may seem at the time, have a powerful compounding effect that can accumulate over time, propelling us forward and overcoming initial resistance. The chapter emphasizes the idea that once momentum is established, it acts as an internal motivator, reducing the effort required for further actions. It explains that even the smallest step, like writing a single sentence, making one phone call, or even just getting out of bed at a scheduled time, can set the ball rolling, creating a psychological sense of forward movement. This is particularly powerful because, as humans, we are hardwired to seek out consistency and predictability. Thus, once we begin, our brain starts to associate the task with accomplishment, which strengthens our desire to keep moving forward. It discusses how the brain's reward system is activated by progress, no matter how small, which reinforces our behavior and keeps us coming back for more. Over time, this builds confidence as we begin to see that taking action is manageable, and the fear of starting diminishes. The chapter also expands on how consistency is crucial for maintaining momentum. It illustrates that sporadic efforts, although well-intentioned, do not allow for the kind of steady progress that leads to long-term success. In contrast, committing to taking small, regular actions even on days when motivation is low ensures that momentum is sustained. This idea challenges the common misconception that success comes from large bursts of energy or motivation. Instead, it emphasizes that success is often the result of small, consistent steps taken over a long period. The chapter argues that by focusing on consistency rather than perfection or immediate results, individuals can avoid the trap of feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of their goals. In addition, the chapter discusses the concept of the snowball effect, where momentum can build exponentially over time. Just as a small snowball can grow into a massive force as it rolls down a hill, small actions can create an unstoppable chain reaction of progress. It explains that once we establish momentum, tasks that once seemed intimidating become much easier to tackle, as the psychological weight of starting is lifted. This positive feedback loop where success breeds motivation, which in turn fuels further success, forms the cornerstone of the momentum principle. By making consistent progress, even in tiny increments, we set ourselves up for larger achievements over time. The chapter also highlights the importance of setting realistic, manageable goals to build momentum effectively. It encourages readers to break down larger projects into smaller, more achievable tasks, which makes it easier to get started and continue making progress. Instead of viewing a goal as a distant, overwhelming target, the chapter advocates for framing it as a series of smaller, less daunting steps. For example, instead of focusing on writing an entire book, one could aim to write a paragraph or even a sentence each day. By focusing on these small wins, individuals can maintain their sense of accomplishment, which keeps momentum flowing. The chapter also explains how celebrating these small wins, acknowledging progress at each stage, reinforces positive behavior and further strengthens the drive to continue. Furthermore, the chapter delves into the mental shift required to activate and sustain momentum. It explains that much of the challenge of getting started comes from the mind's natural tendency to focus on the end result, which can feel overwhelming. The momentum principle encourages readers to shift their focus from the distant goal to the immediate action and in the moment. By concentrating on the next small step instead of the entire journey, individuals can avoid the paralysis that often comes from seeing the bigger picture. The chapter encourages readers to let go of perfectionism and embrace the process of progress itself. It illustrates how progress is not linear, and that setbacks are a natural part of the journey, but it is the continuous effort, regardless of obstacles, that ultimately creates lasting success. The chapter also discusses how resistance can be further minimized through momentum. When resistance is strong, it can often feel like a heavy burden that weighs down on our ability to act. However, once momentum starts to build, resistance becomes less powerful. The chapter describes how even on days when motivation is lacking, simply showing up and completing the smallest possible task can make the difference between staying stuck and making progress. It explores how developing the habit of taking action, even when enthusiasm is low, allows individuals to bypass resistance, making it easier to tackle larger and more complex tasks. Lastly, the chapter addresses how to leverage momentum in the face of challenges and setbacks. It explains that even when faced with obstacles or failures, momentum provides the resilience needed to bounce back. By continuing to move forward, even incrementally, individuals can overcome difficulties without losing their sense of progress. The chapter suggests that building momentum isn't just about maintaining speed. It's about developing the mental and emotional stamina to persist, even when circumstances aren't ideal. By consistently pushing through, readers are shown how they can create a life characterized by unstoppable forward movement, where setbacks become minor blips in the larger journey toward success. Through practical advice, real-world examples, and actionable steps, the momentum principle teaches that success is built on the foundation of regular, incremental actions, which compound over time to create significant, lasting achievements. The chapter equips readers with the tools and mindset needed to start small, build momentum, and maintain progress, empowering them to turn their goals into reality by making consistent action a way of life. Chapter 4. Developing a bias for action. The fourth chapter delves into the concept of developing a bias for action, which is the practice of cultivating a mindset that prioritizes taking action over the tendency to overanalyze, overthink, or wait for ideal circumstances. It stresses that inaction is often driven by the fear of failure, the desire for perfection, or the belief that things need to be just right before taking any steps toward a goal. The chapter challenges these common assumptions and instead encourages readers to recognize that success is not born out of flawless planning or waiting for everything to fall into place, but rather through the act of starting, even with imperfect knowledge or preparation. It explains that when individuals make the decision to take action, they push through the mental barriers that keep them stagnant, and by doing so, they begin to create momentum that drives them forward. Even small actions, when consistently executed, contribute to learning, growth, and progress, and in many cases, action will reveal answers, opportunities, and insights that would never be discovered by merely contemplating a situation. A key insight in the chapter is that waiting for perfect conditions can often be the enemy of progress. Perfectionism can paralyze individuals, causing them to hesitate, procrastinate, or indefinitely delay taking action out of fear that their efforts won't meet their high expectations. The chapter emphasizes that in reality, perfection is an elusive goal, and attempting to attain it can often prevent people from achieving anything at all. Instead, the chapter argues that action, regardless of how flawed it may seem at the time, moves individuals closer to their objectives. Even mistakes made along the way are seen as valuable learning opportunities that contribute to future success. By reframing action as a process of learning and experimentation rather than as a high-stakes performance, individuals can break free from the fear of failure and begin taking steps toward their goals with greater confidence and less hesitation. The chapter also addresses the psychological aspects of fear and self-doubt, which often cause people to avoid taking action. Many individuals experience fear when facing the unknown, and this fear can manifest as resistance or anxiety that prevents them from moving forward. However, the chapter stresses that the only way to overcome this fear is by acting in spite of it. It explains that when individuals take even a small step despite their fear, they learn that the fear is often far worse in anticipation than in execution. Overcoming this initial barrier, even in the face of uncertainty, builds emotional resilience, reinforcing the idea that taking action, regardless of the outcome, strengthens one's ability to handle future challenges. It also emphasizes that the process of taking action and experiencing setbacks or challenges teaches individuals how to adapt, refine their approach, and ultimately improve their decision-making and problem-solving skills. Furthermore, the chapter highlights how hesitation and indecision can lead to negative cycles of procrastination, where the longer individuals wait to act, the more overwhelming their tasks seem. This creates a vicious loop of avoidance that prevents progress and increases stress. By developing a bias for action, individuals can break free from this cycle. The chapter suggests that one way to cultivate this mindset is to adopt the principle of fail fast, which encourages individuals to quickly engage with a task, fail if necessary, and then quickly pivot or adjust their approach. This approach not only reduces the emotional cost of failure, but also accelerates learning, enabling individuals to gather the information they need to move forward more effectively. The chapter also discusses practical steps for cultivating a bias for action. One key strategy is to set clear, actionable goals and break them down into smaller, manageable tasks. This helps individuals avoid feeling overwhelmed by the enormity of a goal and makes the first step less daunting. It suggests that individuals create time blocks or deadlines for each task to prevent procrastination and to ensure that consistent action is taken toward achieving their larger goals. The idea is to take the first step, no matter how small, and then build momentum from there. By simplifying tasks and committing to start, even in the face of uncertainty, people can overcome the tendency to overthink and become more efficient and effective in their actions. Additionally, the chapter explores how distractions, both internal and external, hinder the ability to act decisively. Internal distractions, such as negative self-talk or self-doubt, can be just as damaging as external distractions like social media or environmental noise. To counteract these distractions, the chapter recommends creating a focused environment that supports action and minimizes interruptions. This could include designating specific times for tasks, organizing the workspace to reduce clutter, and practicing mindfulness to stay present and focused. By eliminating distractions, individuals can devote their full attention to taking action, which further strengthens their bias for action. The chapter also emphasizes that taking action fosters a sense of control and self-efficacy. When individuals consistently take action, they build a track record of successes and small victories, reinforcing their belief in their ability to achieve goals. This growing confidence creates a positive feedback loop where action breeds more action. As individuals begin to see the results of their efforts, they feel more motivated and empowered to continue pursuing their goals. By contrast, the longer they delay taking action, the more they undermine their confidence and reinforce feelings of helplessness or frustration. The chapter stresses that the key to building momentum and making progress lies in consistently taking action, regardless of whether the path is clear or the outcome is guaranteed. In practical terms, the chapter offers several techniques to integrate action into daily life. It encourages readers to develop the habit of making quick decisions, rather than deliberating for long periods of time. In order to take advantage of the clarity that comes with immediate action, it also stresses the importance of taking breaks and pacing oneself, as burnout can occur if individuals overexert themselves while striving to act quickly. The chapter reinforces the idea that by balancing urgency with self-care, individuals can maintain a sustainable pace of action that keeps them moving forward without overwhelming themselves. The chapter concludes by reiterating that developing a bias for action is not about acting recklessly or without thought, but about embracing the mindset that action is the key to progress. By moving past the paralysis of perfectionism and fear, individuals can unlock their potential, achieve more, and gain invaluable experience along the way. Taking consistent action, even when it feels uncomfortable or imperfect, becomes a powerful tool for creating change and achieving long-term success. Through this mindset shift, individuals learn that success is built not on hesitation, but on a relentless commitment to starting, progressing, learning, and adjusting along the way until their goals are realized. Chapter 5. The Role of Environment. The fifth chapter delves deeply into how our environment shapes our ability to take action and achieve our goals, emphasizing that the surroundings in which we live and work can either empower or hinder our progress. The chapter begins by defining environment broadly, covering not just the physical space around us, but also the social dynamics and the mental attitudes we cultivate within ourselves. It argues that the external and internal environments we create have a profound impact on our motivation, focus, and ultimately, our productivity. A cluttered, disorganized space can lead to feelings of overwhelm, confusion, and distraction, all of which make it harder to take action. This clutter doesn't just refer to physical mess, but also includes the mental clutter that comes from negative thoughts, worries, and distractions, which can cloud our thinking and decision-making. When our surroundings are chaotic or filled with constant distractions, such as noise, digital notifications, or unsupportive people, it becomes nearly impossible to focus on the tasks that matter most. The chapter explains that when we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli or inner turmoil, our cognitive resources are drained, making it difficult to summon the mental energy needed to take decisive action. The chapter contrasts this by discussing how an intentional, supportive environment can make taking action feel much easier. It encourages the creation of spaces that are calm, organized, and tailored to promote focus and productivity. By intentionally designing our physical environment, whether at home, work, or elsewhere, we can create a space that reduces distractions, enhances clarity, and fosters motivation. This can involve organizing our workspace in a way that minimizes clutter, using tools like task lists, or incorporating design elements that inspire focus and creativity. It also touches on how simple changes, like having a designated work area or a clean desk, can create a sense of order and control, which makes it easier to focus on tasks and take consistent action toward goals. Beyond the physical, the chapter emphasizes that our social environment plays a significant role in shaping our behavior. Being surrounded by supportive, positive people who share similar goals or values can have a profound impact on our ability to stay motivated and take action. When we are part of a community or network that encourages progress, shares knowledge, and holds us accountable, we are more likely to maintain momentum and stay committed to our objectives. Conversely, toxic or unsupportive relationships can drain energy, undermine confidence, and create self-doubt, making it harder to take action. The chapter encourages readers to be mindful of the people they associate with and to seek out those who lift them up and support their growth. In addition to physical and social environments, the chapter emphasizes the importance of our internal environment, particularly our mindset and emotions. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are deeply intertwined with the environments we create, and a negative internal environment can have just as much of a stifling effect on action as a cluttered or distracting physical environment. If we hold limiting beliefs or maintain a negative outlook on our goals, our internal environment becomes one of resistance, fear, and self-doubt, which makes it harder to move forward. The chapter suggests that cultivating a positive, growth-oriented mindset is crucial for success, and offers strategies for doing so, such as practicing gratitude, focusing on positive affirmations, or visualizing success. By training the mind to focus on possibilities rather than obstacles, individuals can create an internal environment that supports their goals and enables them to overcome challenges with confidence. The chapter further discusses how habits and routines play a key role in creating an environment conducive to action. By establishing a set of daily routines and rituals that align with one's goals, individuals can create a structured environment where productive behaviors become automatic. For example, setting aside specific times for focused work, exercise, or relaxation creates a predictable rhythm in life, reducing decision fatigue and making it easier to take action without overthinking. The chapter also highlights the power of creating environmental cues that prompt action, such as placing a book on the desk as a reminder to read, or setting an alarm to remind oneself to take a break or start a task. These small, intentional cues serve as external prompts that align with internal goals, reducing the effort required to remember or decide to take action. Routine, it argues, acts as a powerful tool for creating consistency and removing the friction that often leads to procrastination. Beyond routines, the chapter emphasizes the importance of simplifying choices to reduce cognitive load. When we are faced with too many decisions, we become mentally fatigued, which can lead to inaction or poor decision-making. By creating a streamlined environment where choices are limited or made in advance, we can preserve mental energy for the tasks that matter most. This can involve simplifying daily decisions, like meal planning, dressing in a uniform, or having preset goals for the day. The chapter explains that when we reduce unnecessary choices, we conserve mental resources, making it easier to take the necessary steps toward larger goals. The chapter also touches on the idea that the power of environment extends beyond the immediate physical space. It can include the tools, technologies, and systems we use to organize our work. By utilizing the right tools and systems, whether it's project management software, note-taking apps, or organizational techniques like time blocking or the Pomodoro technique, individuals can create an environment that facilitates efficient, focused action. These tools can automate processes, track progress, and remind individuals of deadlines, all of which reduce the mental burden of managing tasks. The chapter highlights how the right technological and organizational tools can amplify our ability to stay focused and take consistent action, creating an environment that supports productivity. Furthermore, the chapter delves into how our environment can influence our habits over time. The physical environment, particularly, plays a crucial role in shaping our behaviors through the principle of environmental design. It explains that by removing distractions or negative influences from our environment, we make it easier to adopt new, positive habits and maintain them. For example, if a person wants to eat healthier, placing fruits and vegetables in easy-to-reach areas of the kitchen can increase the likelihood of making healthy choices, while hiding junk food can reduce temptation. The chapter suggests that small changes in the environment can lead to big changes in behavior, as our surroundings subtly guide our actions. By designing an environment that aligns with our goals, we are constantly nudged toward the behaviors that help us achieve success. The chapter also explores how the environment we create can affect our emotional well-being and motivation. A positive, organized environment is not just conducive to productivity, but also to mental clarity and emotional balance. For example, a clean and calm workspace can reduce stress and create a sense of peace, which enhances cognitive function and decision-making. Conversely, a cluttered or chaotic environment can increase anxiety, making it harder to think clearly or act with purpose. By maintaining a supportive environment, both externally and internally, we foster a sense of well-being that encourages action and reduces procrastination. Finally, the chapter concludes by reinforcing the idea that creating the right environment is an ongoing, intentional process. It requires regular evaluation and adjustment as goals and circumstances change. The chapter encourages readers to continuously assess and optimize their environment, recognizing that even small adjustments can lead to significant improvements in productivity and motivation. By consistently designing an environment that supports action, focus, and growth, individuals can create the conditions for success and make it easier to take consistent, purposeful steps toward their goals. Chapter 6: Motivation versus Discipline. The sixth chapter dives deep into the fundamental distinction between motivation and discipline, explaining that while both play important roles in achieving success, they operate very differently and have different effects on long-term productivity and goal accomplishment. Motivation is typically an emotional state or a burst of energy that propels people to take action. It's often sparked by external factors like inspiration, a compelling goal, or a sudden burst of enthusiasm. The chapter emphasizes, however, that motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates based on mood, circumstances, or external events, and it can disappear just as quickly as it appears. For example, people may feel highly motivated to start a new project or make a significant change in their lives, but after a few days, when motivation wanes, they often struggle to continue or follow through on their intentions. Motivation can often be compared to a spark that ignites the fire of action, but is not sustainable on its own for long-term achievement. In contrast, discipline is presented as the key to enduring success. Unlike motivation, discipline does not depend on feelings or external influences. It is a mindset and a practice that empowers individuals to continue taking action, even when motivation is lacking or circumstances become difficult. Discipline involves doing what needs to be done even when it is not exciting, or when the individual feels resistance. The chapter stresses that discipline is not an innate trait, but rather a skill that can be developed over time with conscious effort, commitment, and practice. It is built by creating habits and routines that align with goals, ensuring that progress is made regardless of emotional states or fluctuations in motivation. The chapter compares discipline to a muscle that gets stronger the more it is used, just as physical muscles become more resilient with exercise. Discipline becomes stronger through consistent application. The chapter further elaborates on how discipline allows individuals to continue working on their goals during times of struggle or low energy, ensuring that they push through challenges even when they don't feel like it. The chapter also explores how motivation and discipline interact. Motivation can act as a spark to get things started, giving individuals the initial boost they need to begin a task, goal, or project. However, without discipline, that spark fades quickly, and progress stalls. Discipline, on the other hand, is what carries individuals through the more mundane, less exciting parts of the process. While motivation might lead to an enthusiastic start, it's discipline that ensures consistency, focus, and progress over time. The chapter highlights that relying solely on motivation can lead to an inconsistent pattern of action, starting strong, then faltering as motivation fades. This inconsistency can create feelings of frustration or failure, as the individual may feel that they lack the willpower or drive to continue. Discipline, however, builds momentum and creates a sense of steadiness, making it easier to continue working toward goals even when the excitement fades or when external conditions make things more difficult. The chapter also addresses the fact that discipline can help overcome procrastination, which is often driven by a lack of motivation or fear of discomfort. Many people put off tasks because they don't feel motivated to begin or because they fear failure. Discipline works as a counter to this procrastination by encouraging individuals to take action regardless of emotional resistance. It suggests that even when motivation is absent, discipline enables people to move forward by focusing on the next small task or action, rather than waiting for inspiration to strike. Discipline shifts the focus from feeling motivated to simply doing the work, removing the pressure to feel motivated or to have everything figured out before taking the next step. This shift in perspective helps break the cycle of procrastination and creates a path toward consistent productivity. Another important aspect discussed in the chapter is how discipline can create a sense of control. When individuals rely on motivation alone, they may feel like their actions are dependent on external circumstances or internal feelings. Discipline, however, empowers people to take control of their actions, regardless of the external factors that may influence their mood or enthusiasm. By establishing clear routines, habits, and systems, individuals are able to take consistent, deliberate actions that move them closer to their goals, without relying on fluctuating motivation. This sense of control is crucial for maintaining focus, especially when pursuing long-term, complex goals that require sustained effort over time. The chapter also outlines several practical strategies for building and strengthening discipline. One key strategy is establishing daily routines that structure one's day around productive habits and behaviors. By creating routines, individuals can minimize the need for motivation as their actions become automatic and ingrained. Routines reduce the cognitive load of making decisions about what to do next, making it easier to stay on track even when motivation is lacking. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of starting small, breaking larger goals into manageable tasks that can be completed even during moments of low motivation. By focusing on incremental progress, individuals can continue to move forward without feeling overwhelmed or discouraged. Another technique discussed is the power of accountability, both internal and external. Holding oneself accountable, or having someone else do so, can significantly increase discipline by providing external pressure or support to stay on track. This could include setting specific deadlines, creating a system of rewards and consequences, or sharing goals with someone who will help track progress. The chapter also touches on the importance of consistency. Discipline is most effective when it is practiced regularly, even in small doses. It suggests that small, daily actions, such as writing a few pages each day toward a book or working out for a short period each morning, add up over time to create substantial progress. The chapter stresses that the key to success is not doing everything perfectly or achieving massive results right away, but consistently showing up and taking action over a long period. This consistency in action, supported by discipline, eventually leads to momentum, which makes it easier to continue working even when motivation is at a low point. The chapter acknowledges that there will be times when both motivation and discipline are tested, especially when facing setbacks or challenges. However, it stresses that discipline is the key to getting back on track after failure. Rather than waiting for motivation to return, disciplined individuals are able to re-engage with their goals, even after a failure, because they rely on routines and habits to guide their actions. The chapter encourages readers to see failures as part of the process and to use discipline to keep moving forward despite setbacks. Over time, this resilience builds confidence and makes it easier to stay committed to long-term goals. The chapter concludes by reaffirming that motivation is a helpful but fleeting force, while discipline is the reliable foundation for long-term success. It encourages readers to focus on developing discipline as the driving force behind their efforts, understanding that motivation will come and go, but discipline will keep them moving toward their goals. By building strong habits, routines, and systems that promote consistent action, individuals can achieve greater success, not because they are always motivated, but because they have cultivated the discipline to keep going even when motivation is absent. Chapter 7. The 2-Minute Rule. The 7th chapter focuses on the 2-minute rule, a highly practical strategy designed to combat procrastination and improve productivity by addressing small tasks immediately. The core idea behind the rule is that if a task can be completed in 2 minutes or less, it should be done right away, without delay. This might seem like a simple idea, but its impact is profound. Often, we procrastinate on tasks because we see them as overwhelming or mentally taxing, Even though they are relatively simple to complete, the 2-minute rule helps break down these psychological barriers by turning tasks into something quick and easy to address. When we approach tasks with the mindset that they can be done swiftly, it becomes much easier to begin working on them, and the mental resistance dissipates. The rule works by tackling the mental clutter that comes from having small, incomplete tasks piling up. Each time we delay addressing something simple, we subconsciously add it to an ongoing mental to-do list, which drains cognitive energy and keeps us from focusing on larger, more important tasks. By completing small tasks immediately, we clear mental space and maintain focus for more significant projects. The chapter goes on to explain how small actions, like answering a quick email, making a brief phone call, washing a dish, or organizing a small area, are often postponed because they don't seem urgent enough to warrant time or attention. However, these tasks can accumulate over time and become a source of unnecessary stress and distraction. If left unchecked, they can create a mental backlog that makes us feel overwhelmed, even though they would only take a few minutes to complete. The 2-minute rule helps prevent this by encouraging the habit of immediate action on tasks that are easy to dismiss. This creates a positive feedback loop. As tasks are completed right away, a sense of accomplishment builds, which motivates individuals to continue taking action on other tasks. In this way, the rule not only helps clear the clutter, but also helps foster a mindset of taking initiative, which is crucial for long-term productivity and achievement. One of the essential benefits discussed in the chapter is that the 2-minute rule builds momentum. When we start by completing small, quick tasks, we create a feeling of progress that motivates us to take on more significant, more complex tasks. The initial sense of success from ticking off easy-to-complete actions serves as a primer for getting into the flow of work, making it easier to transition into larger projects. This momentum can be incredibly powerful in counteracting procrastination because it changes the psychology behind the task. Instead of looking at a to-do list filled with large, daunting items, the individual starts to view the day's work as a series of manageable, achievable actions. Even a task that seems monumental can feel more manageable if broken down into smaller, 2-minute chunks that can be completed quickly. Furthermore, the chapter highlights how the 2-minute rule applies not only to physical tasks, but also to emotional and mental actions, such as making a decision, writing a quick note, or this broadens the utility of the rule, showing how it can be used in various contexts, from professional work to personal life. Whether it's answering a quick text, scheduling a meeting, or dealing with an administrative task, the rule serves as a reminder to take care of minor details before they pile up and become more burdensome. By applying the rule consistently, individuals start to develop a habit of efficiency, making it easier to stay on top of their responsibilities and avoid being weighed down by small, lingering tasks. This creates a more organized, productive environment, both mentally and physically. The chapter also explores the psychological benefits of the 2-minute rule, emphasizing how taking quick action on small tasks creates a sense of control and accomplishment. Often, when faced with larger goals, we experience feelings of overwhelm and uncertainty, which contribute to procrastination. However, when we tackle small tasks immediately, we gain a sense of autonomy and control over our work and surroundings. This sense of control is motivating and encourages us to keep moving forward. Additionally, the chapter highlights how doing small tasks right away helps build self-confidence, as individuals see that they are capable of completing actions, even if they are seemingly insignificant. This confidence then carries over into bigger projects, reinforcing the belief that action leads to progress. One important aspect of the 2-minute rule is its role in reinforcing discipline. Discipline isn't just about tackling large, complex projects, it also involves managing the little things. Many people believe they can delay small tasks until later, but the 2-minute rule shows that by addressing them right away, we are building discipline by committing to act in the present moment, rather than procrastinating. This consistency of small, Immediate action strengthens the habit of acting without overthinking or delaying, which ultimately makes it easier to take on more substantial challenges. The habit of immediately addressing small tasks can also reduce mental fatigue, as individuals don't need to mentally juggle numerous small actions that are left unfinished. The 2-minute rule also encourages a shift in mindset, especially regarding the perception of time. Many individuals struggle with procrastination because they feel that they don't have enough time to complete certain tasks. By framing small tasks as things that can be done in 2 minutes, people are reminded that time is not always a significant barrier. This shift allows individuals to see that even busy schedules can accommodate small actions, which can lead to a greater sense of productivity and accomplishment throughout the day. This is especially relevant in a world where people often feel overwhelmed by the demands of work and personal life, and the 2-minute rule helps break those larger, intimidating tasks into manageable pieces. Another key insight from the chapter is how the 2-minute rule prevents the build-up of tasks that can lead to procrastination and overwhelm. When small actions are left incomplete, they compound over time, leading to mental clutter and a growing to-do list that feels unmanageable. The rule advocates for addressing these tasks immediately, thus preventing them from becoming a source of stress. By taking swift action, individuals can avoid creating a mental burden that makes it harder to stay motivated and productive. This practice of immediate action creates a cleaner, more organized mental state, where the focus can be on the larger goals without the distraction of unfinished tasks looming in the background. Finally, the chapter emphasizes that the 2-minute rule doesn't just apply to tasks, but to the way individuals approach their daily lives. It encourages people to reframe how they look at their work and time management. By adopting this principle, people start to view tasks through the lens of immediate action, rather than procrastination. This shift in perspective leads to a more proactive, efficient approach to daily life, reducing unnecessary delays and allowing individuals to take control of their time. Ultimately, the 2-minute rule offers a simple yet effective way to stay organized, productive, and motivated, fostering a habit of taking action that can propel people toward long-term success. Chapter 8. Beating the Inner Critic. The 8th chapter addresses the common challenge of dealing with the inner critic, which is often the internal voice that fosters self-doubt, fear, and discouragement, preventing individuals from taking decisive action and achieving their goals. The inner critic can be a powerful force, constantly reminding us of our perceived flaws, past mistakes, and inadequacies, which makes us hesitant to try new things or take risks. This voice typically stems from our upbringing, societal influences, or past experiences where we internalized negative feedback or judgment. The inner critic is not an objective or accurate representation of reality, but rather a distorted voice in our minds that amplifies insecurities and nurtures a belief that we are incapable or unworthy of success. The chapter stresses that the inner critic often operates through fear of failure, fear of judgment, or fear of not measuring up. These fears can paralyze individuals, causing them to procrastinate or avoid challenging tasks altogether, as they anticipate negative outcomes or harsh self-judgment. The chapter highlights that, in many cases, this inner voice is rooted in limiting beliefs that people have about themselves, such as believing they aren't smart enough, capable enough, or worthy of success. These beliefs are reinforced by negative thoughts that loop in the mind, leading individuals to self-sabotage before they even begin. A crucial point the chapter makes is that the inner critic is not something to be ignored or suppressed, but rather something to be understood and managed. By acknowledging the presence of this voice and understanding where it comes from, individuals can begin to break free from its grip. The chapter suggests that one of the first steps in overcoming the inner critic, recognizing that it is not an absolute truth, but just an opinion or perception, often a distorted one, that has been shaped over time by past experiences, societal pressures, or even trauma. By understanding that the inner critic is not inherently valid, individuals can start to distance themselves from its influence and not take its negative messages so seriously. The chapter encourages readers to challenge the voice of the inner critic by asking themselves whether the criticisms are actually true. For example, when the inner critic tells someone, "You're not good enough to succeed," they can ask, "What evidence do I have that this is true?" Or how can I reframe this thought to focus on my strengths instead of weaknesses? This approach helps to detach from the negative self-talk and view it with a more critical, rational lens. Over time, this practice can weaken the grip of the inner critic as individuals learn to recognize that many of its messages are exaggerated, inaccurate, or based on outdated beliefs. The chapter also emphasizes the importance of shifting from self-criticism to self-compassion, rather than beating oneself up over mistakes or perceived shortcomings. Individuals are encouraged to approach themselves with kindness and understanding. This shift in mindset allows people to accept that making mistakes is a natural and essential part of personal growth. Mistakes are seen not as failures, but as valuable learning experiences that offer insights into what works and what doesn't. This reframing helps individuals embrace the process of learning, trial and error, instead of allowing mistakes to confirm their fears or limitations. The chapter also points out that when individuals learn to be kind to themselves, they create an environment of self-support, which is crucial for personal development and confidence building. They no longer need to rely on external validation or avoid challenges, because they have learned to be their own source of encouragement and motivation. Another key concept the chapter introduces is the importance of reframing failure. Many individuals, when confronted with setbacks or challenges, automatically interpret them as proof that they are not good enough or that they are incapable of succeeding. The inner critic thrives in such environments, reinforcing feelings of shame or inadequacy. However, the chapter stresses that failure is not something to be feared or avoided. Instead, it should be seen as a stepping stone to success. Every failure contains valuable lessons that contribute to growth, and by reframing failure as an opportunity to learn and improve, individuals can reduce the fear that often comes with trying new things. This shift in perspective is crucial for taking consistent action, as it encourages individuals to stay resilient and persistent even in the face of setbacks. To help manage the inner critic, the chapter suggests several practical strategies that individuals can adopt. One of the key strategies is to focus on one's strengths rather than weaknesses. Instead of allowing the inner critic to point out every flaw, individuals are encouraged to reflect on their past successes, talents, and abilities. This helps to create a positive internal narrative that supports the individual's self-worth and confidence. Focusing on strengths also allows individuals to build a foundation of self-belief, which makes it easier to take on new challenges. Another strategy recommended in the chapter is to celebrate small wins. Often, individuals dismiss their progress or overlook minor accomplishments because they are focused on the larger, more daunting goals. However, celebrating small victories can create a sense of momentum and reinforce the belief that progress is being made, even if it feels slow at times. This positive reinforcement makes it easier to continue working toward bigger goals without becoming discouraged by setbacks. Mindfulness is another tool discussed in the chapter for quieting the inner critic. Practicing mindfulness allows individuals to become more aware of their thoughts and feelings, helping them recognize when the inner critic is at play. With mindfulness, individuals can observe the negative thoughts without attaching to them or letting them dictate their actions. This detachment creates space between the individual and the critic, allowing for a more balanced, objective perspective. Through mindfulness, individuals can also cultivate a sense of self-acceptance, which reduces the power of self-judgment and promotes inner peace. The chapter also suggests seeking external support as a means of counteracting the inner critic. Surrounding oneself with supportive, positive people who offer encouragement and constructive feedback can help reinforce a more realistic and positive view of oneself. This external validation can counterbalance the inner critic's negative messages and provide a more accurate reflection of one's abilities and potential. The chapter also delves into the idea that the inner critic often holds individuals back from achieving their goals because it plays on deep-seated fears and insecurities. These fears may include the fear of rejection, the fear of making mistakes, or the fear of being judged by others. By confronting and addressing these fears head-on, individuals can weaken the hold of the inner critic. The chapter encourages readers to take action despite these fears, understanding that fear is a natural part of growth and is not necessarily an indicator that they are unprepared or unworthy. Instead of allowing the inner critic to dictate behavior, individuals are encouraged to take calculated risks and embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that the inner critic, while a common and natural part of the human experience, does not have to control one's life or decisions. By acknowledging its presence, challenging its validity, practicing self-compassion, reframing failure, focusing on strengths, celebrating small wins, and using mindfulness, individuals can begin to quiet the voice of self-doubt and take more decisive, confident action. The chapter ultimately suggests that overcoming the inner critic is not about eliminating it entirely, but learning to manage it in a way that allows for greater growth, productivity, and self-empowerment. By managing the inner critic effectively, individuals can push past their fears and doubts, unlocking their true potential and achieving the success they desire. Conclusion. The conclusion of the book serves as a powerful summary and a final call to action, reiterating the central message that consistent, deliberate action is the most reliable way to achieve lasting success and personal fulfillment. It acknowledges that motivation is often temporary and unreliable, which means relying solely on it is not an effective strategy for long-term growth. Instead, the book emphasizes the significance of building lasting habits and developing an actionable mindset that ensures progress even when motivation wanes. It stresses that true success comes not from waiting for the perfect moment or ideal conditions, but from committing to small, manageable actions that compound over time to lead to significant results. The chapter highlights that the foundation of taking action involves making conscious decisions and following through on them, regardless of any fears, uncertainties, or resistance that may arise along the way. It emphasizes that the act of making a decision itself is often the hardest step, as it requires overcoming the inertia of procrastination and self-doubt. But once that decision is made, the momentum begins to carry you forward. By making these decisions with clarity and purpose, individuals can shift from a state of indecision and stagnation to one of forward movement, where every action, no matter how small, contributes to their larger vision and long-term goals. Furthermore, the conclusion delves deeper into how managing internal resistance, such as the inner critic or negative self-talk, is critical to sustaining action. It reinforces the idea that self-doubt and fear of failure are natural, but should not dictate behavior. Instead, the chapter encourages readers to confront and challenge these limiting beliefs, replacing them with empowering thoughts and a belief in the process of learning through action. Overcoming the inner critic, as discussed throughout the book, is integral to maintaining a productive mindset, as it allows individuals to move past self-sabotage and stay focused on their objectives. Additionally, the book emphasizes the value of creating an environment that nurtures action. The spaces we inhabit, whether physical or mental, have a profound impact on our ability to take action. Designing our environment to support our goals by minimizing distractions, surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals, and setting clear expectations can significantly boost productivity and provide the motivation needed to keep moving forward, even on challenging days. The book also addresses the importance of discipline over reliance on willpower or motivation. It teaches readers that discipline, which is the ability to take action regardless of mood or motivation, is the true driver of success. Discipline requires practicing small habits every day, even when they seem insignificant, because those habits eventually accumulate and yield tangible results. The conclusion reinforces that building this discipline is a gradual process, one that requires patience and commitment. It reminds readers that no single action is too small to matter, and that even seemingly trivial tasks, when consistently completed, contribute to progress. By focusing on taking just one action at a time, readers can eliminate overwhelm and break their larger goals into manageable pieces. The concept of building momentum is revisited in the conclusion, stressing that as individuals take small steps consistently, they generate momentum that propels them to tackle increasingly complex tasks with ease. This momentum is crucial in avoiding stagnation or burnout, as the process of taking action itself creates energy and motivation for further progress. The conclusion also touches on the idea that failure and setbacks are a natural part of the process, rather than something to be feared or avoided. It acknowledges that every successful person has faced challenges, made mistakes, and encountered failures along the way, but what sets them apart is their ability to persist and continue moving forward despite those setbacks. The book encourages readers to reframe failure as an opportunity for growth, urging them to use mistakes as stepping stones rather than obstacles. By adopting this mindset, individuals are more likely to take risks and experiment with new strategies, knowing that failure is simply part of the learning curve. This perspective shifts the focus from perfectionism to progress, which is essential for continuous improvement. In addition to reframing failure, the conclusion emphasizes the importance of self-compassion and a balanced approach to self-criticism. It reiterates that the inner critic, though natural, should not have the power to derail one's efforts. Instead of succumbing to negative self-talk, the book encourages readers to practice self-compassion, recognizing that no one is perfect and that mistakes are inevitable. By being kind to themselves and viewing their journey as one of continual learning, readers can maintain their self-esteem and keep moving forward even in the face of challenges. The book stresses that taking consistent action is not about being perfect or having everything figured out, but about showing up every day and doing the work. It's about developing a mindset where action becomes the norm, not the exception. Additionally, the conclusion reminds readers that action is ultimately what transforms ideas and intentions into tangible results. It emphasizes that taking action is the bridge between where someone is and where they want to be. No matter how clear the vision or how inspiring the goals may be, without action, those dreams remain just that, dreams. The book encourages readers to stop waiting for motivation to come or force circumstances to align perfectly. Instead, they are urged to take action in spite of uncertainty, knowing that progress comes from taking the first step, no matter how small. Over time, this habit of action will build momentum, and the momentum will make the journey easier. The book's conclusion also emphasizes the importance of perseverance and the need to remain adaptable in the face of obstacles. It reminds readers that there is no straight path to success. There will always be bumps along the road, and circumstances may not unfold as planned. However, the key to long-term success is the willingness to adapt and keep going, even when things don't go as expected. This adaptability, coupled with a commitment to consistent action, enables individuals to weather the ups and downs of life while staying focused on their goals. The conclusion reinforces that every individual has the potential to take control of their actions and shape their future through the choices they make today. It leaves readers with a sense of empowerment, knowing that they are capable of creating positive change, regardless of external circumstances. By focusing on building the habit of taking action and embracing the process of growth, individuals can turn their dreams into reality. The final message is that by committing to action, taking responsibility for their choices, and continuously striving to improve, individuals can achieve far more than they ever thought possible, ultimately leading to a more fulfilled and successful life.